You certainly know what a traffic light means. A traffic light reminds us of the rules for crossing streets. There are rules all around us, for grown-ups, for children, for everyone. There's a rule for parking bikes. All of them must be put into the rack. Can you imagine what it might be like if we didn't follow this rule? This is what might happen. Our bikes would be damaged. So let's back up and do it again the right way. That's much better. Following the rule makes sense. There's a right way to use a trash basket. When the rule isn't followed, this is what can happen. So let's clean up quickly and use the trash basket the right way. The right way. There are right ways to play games, too. One batter at a time is the rule. What happens if we forget the rule? This won't work. Let's try again. That's better. Rules in school are useful too. One rule is, come on time. Steve is trying to be on time, but he didn't quite make it today. That can happen. But we can see why there's a rule about being on time. Even though Steve tries not to disturb anyone, he still interrupts the class's work. Being late isn't fair to others. It's not fair to ourselves either. If we're late, we may miss something. Being on time is a rule that helps our class and helps us. We have rules for putting things where they belong and for taking care of school property. Because things were put away carefully when the class finished working last time, everyone can get the supplies easily. Today, the children are studying about how to keep healthy. The boys and girls are working quietly. That's another rule we follow in class. Work quietly. When you work quietly, you get more done. That doesn't mean you have to be absolutely quiet, but the rule is, try not to disturb others. When we leave the classroom, we keep to the right in the hall. That's one of our safety rules in the building. On the playground, we also have safety rules that are important. Things like this don't belong on a playground. Someone must have broken a rule. In games, the rules help us play fair and have fun. But we have to remember the rules. After recess, the boys and girls continue with their health projects. The children have made some interesting posters. The class is planning to visit a museum which has some health exhibits. Mrs. Todd has a booklet that shows some of the exhibits the class will see. The class has never been on a trip like this. They will have to make up their own rules. How should they behave on the trip? What rules will help make the trip successful? What rules will keep it safe? Dick thinks one rule should be, stay together. Yes, that sounds like a good rule. Let's write that down. Here's our first rule. Stay together. Who has another rule to suggest? We should be courteous and not run or shout. Don't run or shout. What other rules do we need? Well, let's make sure everyone gets a chance to see the exhibits. Yes, our rule can be, don't crowd. Don't crowd. Bob has been to the museum before, and he remembers one of the museum's rules. You can't chew gum there. Yes, that will help keep the museum clean. Don't chew gum. We have 4 new rules for our visit. Here's the museum. The class is arriving. They can hardly wait to get inside. Still, they've remembered their first rule. Stay together. One of the first exhibits they see is about the care of teeth. Mrs. Todd tells the class that a tape recording in the exhibit will explain this tooth.
This giant tooth is a model of the 6-year molar, the first of your 32 permanent teeth. Every tooth has a crown visible in the mouth, a root anchored in the jawbone, and a neck joining the root and the crown together. The crown is covered with enamel.
There are other exhibits, too. Sometimes the children like an exhibit so much that they forget and start to crowd. But then they remember their rule about crowding. There, that's better. The rules they made are helping everyone enjoy the exhibits. What about the rule, stay together? They're following that quite well. Here's an exhibit where you test how much air your lungs can hold. But Jane can't blow with gum in her mouth. She's forgotten a rule. Don't chew gum. By following their rules, no crowding, no running or shouting, staying together, the class has made the museum visit a pleasant and successful one. The class made up their own special rules for the museum visit, but there are rules all around us. We follow rules because that's one way to help us get along with each other. It's the fair way. Rules help us in school, on the playground, on the bus. Rules help us wherever we are, in living, working, and playing together.